Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our regular Thursday lecture. I hope that your day is going great, and we're thrilled to have you here with us to learn more about preparing a successful application for US admissions. Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let me just briefly introduce myself. As some of you may already know, my name is Victoria, and I'm the outreach coordinator for the Education USA network here in Ukraine. We are, of course, part of the global network of the US Department of State committed to promoting diversity in the US higher education system and building bridges of knowledge across borders. As the official source on US higher education, we offer accurate, comprehensive, and unbiased information about opportunities to study at accredited colleges and universities in the United States. We, of course, understand that the process of applying to the US can be quite different from that in Ukraine, so we are here to help you and guide you every step of the process and, of course, answer all of the questions you may have. So let us get started. Today, we're going to dive deeper into putting together a winning application for US admissions. Students often ask us which part of the application package is the most important and how to make themselves really stand out among all the other applicants. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can present your accomplishments effectively, what information and activities should you highlight, and of course, guide you through crafting a strong application and an effective personal statement. It is my pleasure to welcome our today's lovely guest speakers, Jenifer Karrі, Director of International Student and Scholar Services at Bridgewater State University, and Ukrainian student currently studying in the US, Mila Mattel, philosophy student at Bridgewater State University, who are going to share some insights into the application process and, of course, share with you the resources that are available to international students. Before we get started, I would just like to encourage you to stay proactive and ask lots of questions. We would love to hear from you, and I'll be monitoring all of your questions to make sure we get to every single one. So without further ado, let us get started. Jenifer, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Education USA, for allowing us to come and present and speak to all of the students who are here joining us today. It's our pleasure to be able to talk with you. I am Jenifer Karrі, the Director for International Student and Scholar Services at Bridgewater State University here in Massachusetts. I do have a brief slideshow to talk a little bit about our university. I'll talk about my perspective as a director from my perspective about what you should be submitting and things you should be paying attention to in advance of submitting an application. And then we'll turn it over to Mila so that she can talk to you about her experiences as an international student here in the United States. So I do have a presentation, and I think we're ready to go with that. Great. Thank you so much. So just a little overview of where we are. Bridgewater State University is located in the northeast region of the United States. We are in Massachusetts. Just kind of some landmarks in terms of how close we are to some of the major cities kind of globally. Our capital is Boston. Folks may have come here already. If you have, welcome, we would love to welcome you back. We are located kind of centrally between Boston and Providence, Rhode Island. And why we mention that is because those are our two closest major international airports. And we are on the eastern seaboard. So there's a lot of exciting opportunities for folks if they were to study at BSU within the region. So we're close to New York City, about 4 hours drive, and we're close to Washington, D.C., which is our nation's capital. That's about a 7-hour drive. So we have wonderful public transportation in and out of our campus. While not located in Boston, we're very conveniently located on a commuter rail so students can get the best of both worlds. We are a suburban campus, so this is a look of our campus in the fall, in the autumn, our fall semester. You can see lots of activity, lots of students milling about, getting to know each other at the beginning of term. We are a very safe campus. There's another slide we'll talk about. We were recently re-ranked the 4th safest campus in the United States. So when thinking through, where you want to study for your undergraduate or graduate degree, those are some of the things we encourage you to think about in addition to your majors. We're a very affordable school. We're a public university. So we really pride ourselves on delivering a high quality education for an exceptionally affordable cost. We're a mid mid-sized school. So we're about 9,000 undergraduates and about 2,000 graduate students. That being said, our classrooms are very small, and we do that intentionally so that students are able to form really strong relationships with their faculty. So the average class size is about 19 to 21 students, with the exception of there's one or two kind of major like freshman or first year seminars that students may take that may be a little bit larger. Let's see, moving on. Talked about we ranked the 4th safest campus. We're very proud of that here. We do have the commuter rail, which is the MBA station that I talked about. So you have, again, this really nice suburban setting. It's a beautiful campus nestled right in the center of the town of Bridgewater. And then you have full access to the major urban city of Boston. So we really want students to be able to take advantage of all those opportunities while they're here. We do have a award-winning undergraduate research program that we encourage all of our undergraduate students to take advantage of if it's something that you're interested in. And we do have internship opportunities. Depending on your major as an international student, you would be eligible for an internship. And we have a dedicated office that has many staff members that will help find paid or unpaid, but I think most people want paid internships while you're here as part of your undergraduate degree program. Excuse me. Talking a little bit about our residence life. So we are about 60% commuter students. Again, we're a state university, so there are lots of students that live regionally within the area, locally, off campus, as well as may still commute from their parents' homes or their family homes. We have 11 residence halls on campus, and about 40% of our students live in them. So that's on average about 3,000 students that are living on campus. We have over 90 student clubs and organizations. If there's something, there really is something for everybody here, but if not, we have a wonderful student government association that will work with students to start their own new student groups. If there's something here that, or something that you're interested in that's not here, we can do that as well. We do have Greek life on our campus. It's a little bit different than I think we like to tell students, and you might see in the movies of the American kind of Greek life with the houses. It's not like that here on campus. Any student who's a member of a fraternity or a sorority will live in either the residence halls or off campus. So we do not have our own Greek houses here on our campus. These statistics are from our previous year, as we're still in the process of updating our current international student enrollment, but they're probably about the same in terms of the top 5 countries. We have a 4-way tie for the top 4th, but typically we're seeing lots of our international students coming from India, South Korea, and China. So on our campus, like many U.S. institutions, we have a mix of students who are here getting bachelor's degree as an undergraduate, students who are getting their master's degrees as graduate students, as well as exchange students that are coming typically for either 1 semester or 1 year. Most of our students will work on campus while they're here. About half of them live on our campus, and then we have an OPT statistic, which is really an opportunity for after students graduate, that we have a high percentage of our students take advantage of that as well too, which we support them through that process. Just a kind of clip of the undergraduate programs that are available here at BSU. Pretty much every single one of our programs is open for international students to apply. Bridgewater started out as a teacher's college, so our education programs are exceptionally strong. However, we are a comprehensive liberal arts university, and we're expanding into our STEM programs as we speak as well too. We just launched a brand new cyber range, which is state-of-the-art and recognized by the state as one of the best, newest facilities for students to really practice cybersecurity. And then we do have a brand new photonics engineering program. Well, actually 2 years old now, photonics and engineering program, which is amazing as well on campus. If we do have any students joining us today who are currently in their undergraduate program and may be interested in a graduate degree, this is the list of all of our available available graduate programs. Some of them have moved online, so we were not able to offer as many as we had previously, but we're hoping that that might change in the future and we'll be able to reopen some of our graduate programs. But again, our health promotions, our athletic training, our computer science program is exceptionally strong and comprised of about 90% international students. So that's a really interesting one if folks are looking at a computer science degree. Now, admissions requirements. So that's really what we're talking about, right? We'll talk about requirements now, and then we'll also talk about kind of what you should be thinking through when you're putting your application together. So every university that you're looking at will likely or should have an admissions page that lists out all of their requirements. And you should be paying attention to what their minimum requirements are, and then if they're doing online applications, which portal they're using. So BSU is part of the Common application, which is a really wonderful opportunity for you to log in to submit kind of all of your admissions requirements and then select the universities that you wish to apply to. So it's an opportunity to kind of hit many universities through one portal rather than logging into each individual school's admissions portal and submitting your materials. So I would say definitely pay attention to whether or not your university uses the Common application or if they're requiring you to submit a separate applications through their own portal. So our undergraduate requirements are listed here. These are pretty standard. You'll be looking at this for most of the applications that you're going to submit, that you've completed your high school degree or equivalency of that. Usually universities will post a minimum GPA grade point average that they're looking for. Ours is a 3.0. We are an SAT test optional school. That has become increasingly more popular in the United States, that schools are going SAT optional. We get a lot of questions from students, well, if it's optional, but I've taken it, should I submit it? We always suggest that you do. We have a link on our website that kind of explains your GPA and your SAT scores. Some universities will do something what's called a sliding scale, meaning that if you have a lower GPA, but you have a high SAT test score, that will help you in your application. So you really want to pay attention to what the school you're applying to, what they're posting on their admissions pages around SAT optionals or sliding scales, if they prefer you submit it or not. Personal statements we require. I'll talk a little bit about kind of what you should be putting in that in a moment. And then your academic credentials. So if you are studying at a university, for us, if you're studying at a university where the language of instruction was not English and it's in your home language, you would need to have your academic transcripts translated. And there are specific companies and vendors that universities use. Those companies should be listed on the admissions pages. So for instance, BSU, we have a longer list, but off the top of my head, we usually see WES and Spantran. Those are the two most common academic credential services that we'll see international students using. Language proficiency exams as well. Those tests that the university will accept should also be listed on their admissions pages. BSU accepts a wide range, so I think people might be familiar with the IELTS, the TOEFL. Those are pretty common. We accept the Common European Framework, we accept the PTE, and Duolingo as well. And we are going to be adding the Cambridge English exam as well too, which is slightly different than the Common European Framework. So again, all of those minimum scores should be listed on the admissions pages so that you know which targets you need to hit for the admission standards. As an international student, there are additional documents that you would need to submit for admissions, and that is financials. And we get a lot of questions around the financial requirements. So typically, students need to submit financial supports in the form of either bank statements or affidavit of financial supports that students can submit, can support themselves for at least the first year of academic study. So what is the cost? We get that question a lot. That really depends on the institution that you are attending and any potential scholarships that you may be receiving. Your admissions counselors, specifically assigned to you once you start an application, if that's not clear on their webpage, those counselors will be able to help you with that. They are the folks who will guide you through those types of questions, and they can tell you exactly how much money you need to submit or evidence that you have. There's also additional things like your passport information page. There may be application fees, and that could vary, again, depending on if the universities use the Common Apps or if they have their own admissions portal. And then, of course, a completed online application, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment as well. For the graduate admissions requirements, again, pretty standard. Our English language proficiency scores increase for graduate programs, and you may find that that's quite common, typically because for graduate level work, a higher command of English is often needed, and just the proficiency in vocabulary as well. So that's typically why you may see graduate programs have a higher standard. Some of the programs at the graduate level may also require GREs or GMATs, which are, I like to kind of say they're like basically the SATs for graduate admissions. So they can be, subject specific. They can be program specific. So not every one of our graduate programs here requires a GRE or a GMAT. Only specific ones do. Some programs may permit a GRE or a GMAT waiver. And again, that information should be listed on the academic institution's admissions website. But if not, again, the admissions counselors or the admissions offices will be able to answer that information for you. They are the experts as well in knowing which programs require which specific exams. So again, the graduate application is pretty similar to the undergraduate. Passport information, completed online application, English language proficiency, potential letters of recommendation, and again, a translated academic transcript. So let's see, moving on. Just to give you a sense of our admissions application process, we have a very comprehensive admissions portal just for international students. We really tried to make it as easy as possible right off of the homepage. There's the admissions tab, then an international students, and then we break it down whether you're an undergrad student or a graduate student. And we also participate with exclusive universities for exchange opportunities. So depending on how you're applying, that's what link you should use. I believe there is a QR code of information as well that would lead you right to our admissions portals. But this is pretty standard practice that you'll see at US institutions, that you should see an admissions tab right off of one of their home pages. And then it should hopefully break it down into international admissions separately, because it is a different process than a US student applying directly. Let's see. So yeah, just a kind of an overview of cost of tuition. I mentioned earlier that BSU is a really affordable institution for the quality of education that you're getting, and we're very proud of that. Just kind of giving folks a sense of some of the other institutions within the area. Boston area is a very rich academic institution area for academic institutions. So we know students have a lot of choices, and we always appreciate the consideration for coming to BSU. Funding opportunities, I know that that is often a factor for our international students when choosing a U.S. institution, because compared to where you may be coming from, where education may be cheaper or it might be free, subsidized by the government, we know that it can be an additional expense to consider coming to the U.S. to continue your education. So we do have some exclusive funding opportunities for international students. At the undergraduate level, we have something called the Horace Mann Scholarship, which is a $5,000 scholarship that's renewable each year while you're here as an international student. We do have a database called Academic Works that students can use to start looking for their own scholarships that are offered throughout the university. So those could be, I'm a biology major and I'm a second year student. What opportunities exist for me? So other U.S. institutions may have those same opportunities like that, just a collection, a database of scholarships that you can start looking for that are specific to you. And then my office, we're very thankful and grateful to be able to have our own merit and need-based scholarships. They're typically up to $1,000, and we do that application once a year. And those are for once a student is here and enrolled, they're able to apply. So there's kind of a difference there, just to let folks know about when you're applying and looking through admissions. There may be scholarship opportunities that you can apply to prior, and then there may be scholarship opportunities that you can apply to only once you've enrolled and are attending. For our graduate funding, we have a wonderful program called our graduate assistantships. So these are up to 20 hours a week where you would be working in an office at BSU. Does not need to be related to your major. You could be a biology major and you could be working over in the internships office. So they're 20 hours a week. You get a paycheck for that, and then you would get all of your tuition and fees free as part of the grad assistantship. So it's a wonderful opportunity. We really are fortunate to have that here, and many of our international students take advantage of that. And let's see. And so I think that's all I have. My contact information is up here, but I think we can take that down when we're ready. And then I was going to talk a little bit more in depth about what you should be thinking about when you are applying to a U.S. institution. So from my perspective, deadlines are very important. It's very rare do we see application deadlines are able to be extended or moved. So when you're thinking through your application, any materials that you need to submit that you may need to take a test for, you may need to ask a faculty member for a letter of recommendation, those kinds of things that might be a little more out of your control, I would look at your application deadline and then back up to how much time you think you would need to take a language exam, have that language exam scored, ask that faculty member for a recommendation letter, give them some time to do it. Make sure you give them enough time, right? You want to be able to have time to follow up because faculty members are busy and they're teaching, they have advisees, they're running around to all potentially maybe other universities because they teach at different locations. You might need to remind them. So just making sure that that timing does not prohibit you from submitting a completed application on time. I've had lots of students that have everything else and they're like, oh, I'm still just waiting on a language score exam. It's like, there's only so much that we can do to help because a lot goes into reviewing an application, right? Those get submitted to review committees and then they have to make decisions, and faculty members sometimes need to confer on different things. So I think timing is one of the biggest things I would definitely recommend you're paying attention to. Submitting completed applications is super important. Making sure you take the time to go through all of the questions, answering things, and if they're not relevant, making sure you're checking the right boxes. It's oftentimes an admissions counselor may need to follow up multiple times with a student because there's an incomplete application. Some universities might not do that at all. They might just take you right out of the application cycle because you haven't submitted a complete application. I would say, again, I talked about this earlier too, but the admissions counselors at the universities really are your best resource. That's what they're there for. They're there to answer questions. Most times nowadays, I think you can pretty much check your own application when you log in, so you'll know which pieces you're missing. But if for some reason you're questioning, did you receive it? Did it come through? I think it's always a good idea to reach out to the admissions counselor and let them know. The way that we do admissions at BSU could be pretty similar to how other U.S. institutions do it. And I was talking to Victoria earlier, I wanted to mention this. We have different offices in different areas that are responsible for admissions. So for undergraduates, that's one specific team. And then for graduate students, that's another specific team. I am responsible with my colleague here. We do all the admissions for exchange students. So we're seeing all the students who want to come here for just a semester or a year. So when you are looking at an institution and you're looking at their admissions pages, like the link I sent for ours, you'll see there's a division. And so you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the correct area that you want to pay attention to, because the requirements may be different. And you may not need certain things, or you may need additional materials. So making sure that you're paying attention to that as well. I talked a little bit already about the Common application. So there's a lot of U.S. institutions that are using that. I think that's amazing. It's super simple for students to just go in and start adding the different institutions that they want to use. So that'll be your best friend when you're applying, if the schools you're looking for are using that. Your personal statements. So I know from my perspective, when I look at personal statements, make sure you're reading what they're asking for you to put in them. What does the personal statement prompt tell you to put in, and making sure you're doing that. Oftentimes it's tell us about your desire to come to the United States. Why do you want to study here in general? Why do you want our institution? What about our programs or our faculty, or what about the school is drawing you? You want to also talk about your academic achievements. I know sometimes it feels very daunting, because it's like, oh, well, if I haven't done 900 things by the time I'm a senior in high school, there's no way that they're going to consider my application. I think there's a lot of pressure on students these days, but I think it is important to highlight kind of your passions, what drives you, what energizes you. The Ivies are a different situation. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on what the Ivies are looking for, but for the general U.S. institutions, we tend to look at things holistically, right? It's a collection of all of your materials. It's your personal statement. It's your scores, your academic transcript, your language proficiency. So at least here at BSU, we look at a holistic application. That's the view that we take. Again, for your personal statement, highlighting those personal achievements, highlighting your academic achievements. Those are the types of things that the U.S. institutions want to understand. And again, like I said, what drives you? What are you interested about this specific program? I think are really important. So those are my big highlights, Victoria. I hope those touched on the major points.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for a fantastic presentation. I highly enjoyed it and learned so much myself. So I will give the word over to Mila to talk about her experiences applying to the US and, of course, studying at Bridgewater State University. Mila, please take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my situation is not very irregular, because I came here right when the war in Ukraine started, so it was an emergency situation. I didn't know. I went to States. I didn't know I didn't know what I'm gonna do there. I didn't know I'm gonna study here. And so I just started emailing, reaching out to different universities, reached out to President Clark, and I got an email back that he would want to meet, and also that I met Jennifer too, and the whole process just started escalating, but I still didn't know what am I doing, what's going on, and what's going to happen. But then I got a scholarship. I got a presidential scholarship, and I started the process of actually applying to be a student, for being a student. I had a tourist visa, and on the tourist visa you can't study anywhere. You're not allowed. You need to have a student F1 or something visa. So I started this process, and it took very, very long time. I don't know, more than a year probably. But I was still living on campus this whole time, making friends, just finding out everything that I can do, all the resources, just literally everything. And it was I love campus here. I love everything here. There's a lot of helpful people. They can just be your friends even if you're not, working together. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, time went by and I got my student visa and I registered for classes, started all the studying. It's tough. It's hard to study. It's a little bit challenging, of course, because of the English, and it adds the pressure to the whole studying process. But it's I would say it's challenging in a good way for you. It's improving your language speaking abilities very, very good. Also, as I noticed, studying in English helps you concentrate on lessons and classes because you actually need to listen to the person to understand what they're saying, because it's English and then you understand what they're saying and it's actually class material, so you're double learning. And yes, Jennifer talks about a lot of things like safest campus, and I agree. I feel very safe even walking at night, or not late at night, but it's already dark outside or whatever. Also, people here are very friendly. All the staff members are very friendly, helpful, outgoing. Yeah. Professors are, as I said, very friendly. They always willing to help you, always willing to communicate, always there to lead you through your academic semester, to help you with your schoolwork, with your homework if you have any problems. You just need to understand that everyone is there for you and you're more than welcome to reach out anytime and you will get help. What else? Is there any questions maybe?
Mila, you live on campus. Do you want to talk a little bit about living on campus?
Yeah, thank you. I do live on campus. I live in the Stonehouse dorm. All of the dorms are different from each other and they have a different vibe when you live in there, because I don't know, it depends on people who live there. There are also freshman dorms, and so the dorms that you live in during your freshman year, and some dorms, if you are freshman, you're not allowed to apply to live there. I know that dorms are good. They have heating, ACs. There are a lot of single rooms. There are, of course, a lot of double and triple rooms. I know that in freshman dorms, you most likely will not get a double. I don't even know if there are doubles in freshman dorms. Really good conditions and very cozy. I like it.
Thank you so much, Mila, for sharing your experiences on campus. Just to reiterate, I would like to encourage our lovely viewers at home to please not hesitate to send their questions, so you can just put them in the comments. We would love to hear from you and, of course, answer your burning questions. And while we wait, I would just like to ask a question of my own, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, Mila, I was wondering, what was your experience like preparing your application essay? And do you have any tips for Ukrainian students who are currently in the midst of admissions?
I do not. Unfortunately, I did not write my application letter.
I see. Okay, well, that's a good thing, I think, too, because you
Yes.
got to get away from this very challenging part of the admission essay. But let us maybe talk a bit more about your experiences on campus. So, how did you find your place on campus. What activities did you partake in, and what would you recommend that students sign up for if they get to study in the United States?
Okay, activities on campus. There's a bunch every day, everywhere. A lot of activities that involve students, sometimes staff members. I think even people from the streets can walk in and join if it's something like table market or something like that. There is a Pride Center on campus where you can go and chill and find new friends. I know there's Program Council. They work on organization of different events, and you can, as a student, you can also join them. And if you want to improve something or come up, you have multiple ideas or whatever, you can talk to them, and they will work with you. You will work with them on creating something new, as Jennifer mentioned before. There are a lot of sorority events too I've seen on campus, just involving some interactions between students. There's a lot. I can't even come up with something in particular.
I think, yeah, I was remiss too, and I didn't mention our host of athletics opportunities as well too. I think that's a really fun way where we see international students that are making friends through that, whether it's a sport that they played in their home country previously, or if it's something that they wanted to pick up while they're here. We have, all the way for varsity sports, but then if that's not what you're interested in as well, we have club sports, so students can just join a team and pick up a game and make friends that way too.
Thank you so much to Mila and Jennifer for sharing some great opportunities on campus. So we have our first question from Katya, and Katya is wondering about funding opportunities at Bridgewater State University. In particular, does the university offer a full ride scholarship?
So that's a great question. So we don't typically offer full ride scholarships, but we do have the scholarship opportunities that I mentioned previously. So at the undergraduate level, again, it's the Horace Mann Scholarship, as well as our database of academic works. And so students can start searching through that. We do, in my office, have a list of external scholarships that we send to international students when they're interested in things. So those are resources that are not our funding, but they're other external scholarship opportunities that you could apply to. We often see international students, I call it kind of cobbling together. So they're getting different scholarship opportunities from different places. Some of the larger institutions, like you'll see like a lot of the research ones, those institutions typically offer full ride scholarships for international students.
Thank you so much for your answer, Jennifer. And Mila, would you like to add anything about your personal experience seeking funding?
That's a little different from what Jennifer said, because I already mentioned that before, saying that my situation is a little bit different. So I did get a full ride scholarship. But I know that these opportunities are definitely available at some different universities where you might want to apply to. I can't really be sure what to say.
Yeah, I think there's some federal funding opportunities too in support of Ukraine students. And so I would encourage folks to do a little bit of research and look at that. Again, that's likely an external scholarship opportunity. There were monies committed to help support Ukraine students given the horrible atrocities that are happening. So I'm not sure if the limitations of those external fundings has run out yet, but that's certainly something to look into. And Victoria, I don't know if maybe you have more information on that, but there are different universities, given the circumstances that have occurred in Ukraine, who have committed specific funds for Ukrainian students. So again, when you find a U.S. institution that you're interested in applying to, if that's not evident on either their admissions websites or their financial aid websites, you could always ask the admissions counselors if there's specific monies for you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, and thank you, Mila, for sharing your insights into the search for funding. I just want to add from my side that, Katya, thank you for reaching out. You can always sign up for a free consultation with one of our lovely advisors, and we would be happy to share a list of resources with you where you can look into seeking funding for the specific institutions and majors you're interested in. We also post regular updates about scholarship and grant opportunities available specifically to Ukrainian students every week on our social media pages under the hashtag scholarship alerts. So be sure to subscribe so as not to miss those.
There you go. It's perfect.
Yeah, so I guess a final question on my part would be to both of you, and it's a rather general question. So do you have any tips you would like to share with aspiring Ukrainian students who are looking to apply to the US and maybe Bridgewater State University in particular?
Mila, would you like to go first?
I was gonna say, go ahead, Jennifer.
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, I would just say, so the things that I really iterated earlier too is do your research, look into, kind of what your institution offers, right? I think there's, the top ranked US institutions are really well known outside of the US, right? But that's not all we have to offer. There's a huge wide range, a breadth and depth of US institutions that offer really wonderful quality programs. There's niche institutions that offer specific programs. Like, for instance, I think of some of our colleagues in, the Midwest or in the northern areas that offer really unique outdoor adventure-bound opportunities that you're not going to find. So there's really paying attention to what program you want and what you want to get out of that, in my opinion, is more important than the name of the institution. And I think that students may find a better fit that way. That's just my personal opinion. And I think in terms of, your tips and tricks, again, being thorough in your application, making sure you're not rushing through it, that you are answering all of the questions to the best of your abilities. Reaching out if you have questions is super important. I may get the same question 50 times in 1 week, but it's the first time you're asking it. So don't ever feel like you cannot ask that question. That's what we're here for. And if you're working with an admissions counselor or an institution that doesn't feel that way, maybe pay attention to that. Maybe that's not the right place for you. I think that the fit is really important. Mila, you probably have a different perspective because you were just kind of put here and we love you. We love having you. But those would be my suggestions. And every institution, I think, has its own culture. And sometimes that's hard to know prior to going. So, looking on the websites to see if there's student testimonials, check their Facebook or social media pages to get a real sense of what the student life is like on campus. Asking the department, can I talk with your faculty chair? If you have questions of them, I think those are all really great things because this is your future and it's your money that you're spending on a U.S. education, and you want to make sure that it's going to be, the best experience for yourself. So those would be my kind of parting thoughts, just in the process in general.
I agree about research because there's always much more things much more opportunities or much more of anything that you could know of. So just always reach out. Some other tips, I don't even know, just also, as Jennifer said, don't rush. It's always stressing to rush. Just make sure you do everything, you plan everything. Very good thing to have a little calendar and put all your deadlines. It's just very helpful. Yeah, it's when you're already studying here.
Thank you so much, Jennifer and Mila, for some great tips. Just to add to that, I completely agree with Jennifer and Mila. Communication and time management are key skills in your application process. What I would like to add to that is, of course, that if you collaborate with Education USA and reach out to us, we can help you streamline this process. And of course, it will take some time and you will need to look into what institutions and majors are the best fit for you personally and professionally, but we can connect you with a wealth of resources and help you talk to current students, Ukrainian students in the institutions you're looking to apply to help you really get an inside look into what studying at your dream college or university could be like. So do not hesitate to reach out and, of course, follow us so as not to miss any updates or special programs that can really help you on your journey to your study. And, of course, we're always here to support you. So we would love to see you next week, in particular, if you're interested in studying law in the United States, as we're holding a specialized webinar on pursuing a Master of Laws in the United States. But in general, please do not hesitate to reach out and sign up for a free consultation if you have any more questions about studying in the US or already in the midst of the application process and need some advice, whether with proofreading your admission essay or any other questions you may have about the admission process. Of course, if you're interested in applying specifically to Bridgewater State University, it would be my pleasure to help you on your journey. And if you have any questions specifically for Jennifer, I would love to connect you with her or even Mila to help you answer any of the questions you have about actually studying and living on campus. So please do not hesitate to check out the resources that Jennifer has kindly put together, and we would love to see you in upcoming events. Stay safe and stay with Education USA. Goodbye and good luck.